What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video I am now giving Shadow Dragonite a try as the top performing teams. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it this week on PvPoke has dragons. 5 out of the top 8 teams have a dragon on it, whether it's Shadow Dragonair, either variant, right, or Shadow Dragonite. So we're going to use the Shadow Dragonite team today with Quagsire lead and a Toxapex safe swap. The team actually did very well. The core of Quagsire and Dragonite is very interesting in this meta as well. We obviously face off against some potential hard counters and hurdles that you guys might have to overcome in this video, and we'll see how we potentially handle that. So hope you guys enjoy, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, getting into the first battle, Quagsire versus Lickitung here on the lead. Now, a Lickitung lead is a fantastic generalist, and it can honestly have anything in the back, so it's going to be hard to predict what is back there. But I'm going to go ahead and look to stay in a little bit and go for a Mud Bomb just to chip some health. And then hope that I can catch the Power Whip on the Toxapex. So I go ahead and swap out, and we do catch the charge move. And my hope here is that it is in fact Power Whip, as it's only going to do neutral damage, and we do draw out a Gligar. Now, again, this team very generalized on their side when it comes to coverage. Nothing really too overpowered against us. For our Dragonite, it can do very well in that matchup. But thankfully, we do have Brine here for super effective damage. And the Gligar is not going to be able to farm us down in time before I get to another Brine, so it's going to have to throw a charge move, which is going to be a bit advantageous for us, right? Because if they get the full farm down, then we might actually be in some trouble. So I'm going to go ahead and no shield, as the Aerial Ace will connect there, and we're going to look to come back in with Quagsire and then go for a Stone Edge here to take out the Gligar. So we do overfarm a bit. I should have thrown the Stone Edge one turn sooner, unfortunately, as this is actually going to be CMP tie. I was really hoping to avoid any extra damage there. So that's just a slight miscalculation on my end. But the Stone Edge here should do enough damage to KO as it does go down. Now, we'll have to see what they decide to come in with. Lickitung is most likely going to be the option, but they actually come in with a Poliwrath. So I'm going to go ahead and swap out into my Shadow Dragonite and just start shredding here. Shadow Dragonite does very, very well against fighters because Dragon Breath damage, when it's neutral, is just it's something to behold, right? So we're gonna go ahead and shield. They're throwing most likely the Icy Wind, and then we're going to see the Lickitung now swap in. This is going to be a very dangerous game for us because I need to keep my Dragonite alive in order to Dragon Breath down the Poliwrath potentially. So I'm going to go ahead and load up on energy, look to go for a Dragon Claw here. Switch Clock is coming back up, so we're going to potentially need to swap out here, but they decide to no shield, which is huge for me because now I get a free Dragon Claw here against the Poliwrath. I will swap out into the Quagsire to look to go for the Mud Bomb, which is going to be quite a bit of neutral damage as it did get a damage buff last season. And this is barely not going to be enough to KO. Poliwrath does get to the charge move, but this is why I kept Dragonite alive, as one Dragon Breath should be enough to KO here, which it does. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. Alright, moving into the next one. We have Quagsire on the lead versus Altaria. So another kind of tough lead here. Thankfully, we do have access to Stone Edge, which is super effective damage. But I'm always concerned when there is an Altaria lead, if there's that there could be a Lantern in the back, right? It's a very common pairing. Dragonite actually does okay against that because it doesn't take super effective against it. So I'm going to look to try to bait it out here with a Toxapex. But they're not swapping out. And this is kind of concerning because if it's a Zoomerl in the back, I just gave up my hardest answer to the Azumarill, right, with our Toxapex. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Brine. We do get a shield, and now I'm like, it's probably a Zoomerl in the back, and I could be in a lot of trouble here. So I'm going to look to shield, keep myself healthy, commit to the farm down, and they swap in a Venusaur actually. So this could have been a reason why they didn't swap in right away. My hope is that maybe it is double grass in the back, and they were just wanting to soften up the Toxapex here. So I'm going to go ahead and come in with Dragonite. I think I can safely farm down and only have to give up one shield. as if I can get double charge moves here, or as much energy as possible. I think that's going to be more advantageous for us than trying to win that race to the charge move. So I'm going to go ahead and shield the Sludge Bomb and commit to the farm down, but they actually surrender. So that is going to be a good game. I'm guessing maybe it was double grass, actually, in the back. All right, moving to the next one, we got Trevenant on the lead. Trevenant, obviously, a very tough Pokemon to deal with. It is still pretty strong, even with the Seed Bomb nerf. Now, a Charjabug swaps in here. So we got basically double hard countered. Thankfully, Toxapex can fight back here against Charjabug because of its bulk. As you guys can see, Discharge is not enough to KO, which allows us to go for a Sludge Wave here. And then they're actually going to have to throw another charge move in order to take us down, just because of how bulky Toxapex is. As you guys can see, we could potentially take Switch here if we want to. I feel like I could fast move down in time, but I don't want Switch. I want Energy. So we're going to go ahead and let the X-Scissor go through. And the reason why is Stone Edge does so much neutral damage that it could get a shield from the Trevenant here, and we can actually farm down since the bug typing resists ground type moves, and electric obviously takes super effective. So we will actually pretty much one fast move away from the Stone Edge. So now this gets us an advantage right here, whether it's the health on Trevenant, which can easily be KO'd later, or it gets us a shield, which it does. So we're going to go ahead and swap out into the Dragonite, and it's going to be a Toxapex in the back. So this is still a winnable situation for us because they only have one shield, we have two. Yes, we take a lot of damage from these poison jabs, but they let the first Dragon Claw go through, which is fine because now I can commit to the full farm down. I can safely double shield if they do get to 2 brines, but odds are I don't think they make it just because of how strong Dragon Breath is right here. So we saw how bulky my Toxapex was, and that's just what Shadow Dragon Breath can do from a Dragonite. Same with Dragonair. Now we go ahead and go for 1 Dragon Claw, and then we're going to look to go for the second one here, and this is going to be some much needed chip damage against the Trevenant, as our Dragonite will go down to Shadow Claw, but I actually swap out into Quagsire, thankfully, as Switch Claw came up, and I can go ahead and go for a Mud Bomb here. So a beautiful dance there of my Pokemon's energy and shields in order to get myself an advantage in order to win that game, so good battle. Alright, moving to the next one. Shadow Abomasnow. This is one tough cookie to get through. Thankfully, we do have access to Stone Edge, which is gonna one-shot. Let's just be completely honest here. But unfortunately, Abomasnow has Energy Ball and Weather Ball, which can handle my whole team. And this is one of those Pokemon where I haven't really seen it a lot lately, but I think with the rise of the dragons this week from the top performing showcase, we're going to go ahead and swap out into Toxapex to try to catch the charge move, but we don't get it. With the rise of dragons, it makes sense that Abomasnow, people are trying to give it a go, you know, they're trying to see what it's capable of, and obviously this Abomasnow is core breaking my whole team. Now they're not swapping out, so my concern is they have a second answer we do see a Poliwrath come in. My concern is that they have another answer for Quagsire in the back. Poliwrath is pretty decent because of the neutral damage that it can do. But my hope is that actually, since Abomasnow is so low and it's kind of dumped its energy, that Dragonite could potentially win this game for me. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the double Mud Bomb right here just to get rid of the Poliwrath. They decide to no-shield the first one, so I'm going to go ahead and throw the second one right away. Again, I think I can Dragon Breath down the Abomasnow in time, but this is where I get into some trouble here. We get to see what's it going to be. It's an Azumarill. Dragonite has no play right now. This is going to be a very tough game to come back from. Now, there's potentially some hope here. We'll have to see if we can manifest it. We're going to go ahead and go for another Mud Bomb. But my hope is that the Abomasnow doesn't have a Weather Ball. So, this is going to be a dicey one. I think I get farmed down if I shield, so I'm just going to go ahead and no shield. Maybe I don't get farmed down, but my hope is that Dragonite can just Dragon Breath its way to victory. Now, they've shown they've had Ice Beam, so I obviously have to shield. But now it's just going to be a matter of, can I get to the the double charge move here, and how much health is Azumarill going to be taking from Dragon Claw. So here comes the first one, and they do decide to shield. So now I'm hoping to maybe get to the superpower, but they get to the Ice Beam right there on that bubble. So I have to throw Dragon Claw, and unfortunately that is not enough to KO. So the Azumarill, the original OG top meta Pokemon of the Great League, gets me in the end. Boom! Down we go, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So obviously, Abomasnow, really good set right there, actually. We obviously, Abomasnow and Azumarill is going to be tough to overcome. All right, next up we got Charm, Alolan, Ninetales. This is another tough one to be facing off against. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Mud Bomb here on CMP tie. And hopefully we get a shield, because obviously Stone Edge is going to be one-shotting, so my hope is they have a bit of fear there. And with a Alolan Ninetales lead, there are some things we could consider. They decided no shield, so that's brave on them. There are some things we could consider that they have in the back. Counters to fires is a big one, but they let it go down. So I'm very thankful right now. We see a Medicham swap in, so I'm going to go ahead and go into Toxapex. And then look to load up on energy. And then we do see a Bastiodon come in. So there wasn't actually a counter to fires in the back, and it was a Bastiodon. So this is still going to be a tough game. And what I need to do is make sure I get this Bastiodon out of the game if I can. And it's still going to be an uphill battle, because if that Medicham has Ice Punch, I think I lose anyways with it having 2 shields. Because it already has quite a bit of energy. And 1 Ice Punch will basically KO the Dragonite. So we're not in a good situation. I think we could have been in a better situation had I gone straight for Stone Edges here. But even then, I needed to keep Quagsire alive. I mean, obviously I go for Stone Edge, we get the KO at the beginning, but I thought they might have been shielding in fear of the Stone Edge, but they called my bluff. So now I'm going to hope I get to this brine, but I noticed that Switch Claw came back up, and my opponent is noticing it as well. So they're going to actually make a really good play right here. And I'm going to pause it, because this is a good play by my opponent, and I was hoping that they wouldn't do this. With Switch Clock back up for both me and my opponent, the opponent knows I have a Mud Bomb ready to go. And they also noticed that I had a Quagsire lead and a Toxapex safe swap. So odds are I have a flyer in the back. I'm betting that's what they're calculating. Whether it's a Charizard, Talonflame, Noctowl, like Skarmory, Dragonite, a flyer back there, because I need that coverage to Grass-type Pokemon, right? It makes sense. So my opponent is going to swap out instantly. And that is a beautiful play by them, because now this puts me in a very tough position, because now I have to counter swap into my Dragonite. My Mud Bomb was basically not wasted, but it was, because it didn't land on the target that I wanted to be able to get a shield. They don't have Ice Punch. They decided to go for Psychic there. And I'm going to go ahead and go for a Dragon Claw now, looking to get a shield from my opponent. And this is going to be a very, very close one, because I can't let the Medicham counter down or get a counter hit against my Quagsire, so I have to Dragon Breath, but we don't get it, which means they get the counter through. And now it is going to be a Bastiodon left, and we are basically going to get farmed down by Smackdown. So unfortunately not able to make it. I think if I Dragon Breath right there, I think we make it, because I survive long enough to get that Mud Bomb. So good game, very well played. Alright, moving into the next one. Quagsire versus Defense Form Deoxys. Somewhat of a neutral matchup. I mean, eventually I think I want to swap out of this after getting the Deoxys low, but they throw Psycho Boost right away. This was on 5, and that tells me they're going to be swapping out. Now, they throw Psycho Boost, and they swap into a Vigoroth. And for those of you who have been around the meta, or been around the Great League for a few years now, you know what this team potentially is. It's the triple counter but no fighter team. Now, I could be wrong, right? But we've already seen Defense Form Deoxys. We've already seen Vigoroth. And my guess is Pokemon number 3 is either going to be something like Obstagoon, Medicham, Poliwrath, potentially. Some type of fighter, some type of Pokemon with counter. And we're going to go ahead and play to that and keep our Shadow Dragonite alive. Now, you can't necessarily read that team when you see a Defense Form Deoxys lead because it could be anything in the back. I've paired Defense Form Deoxys with Umbreon and Dewgong before as a very strong team, but seeing the Vigoroth gives me, it's like a hint, you know? So I got to gamble to that. So we're going to go ahead and no-shield these Body Slams. We're going to commit to that farm down, but they swap in the Deoxys, so I'm going to go ahead and go for the Sludge Wave. And then I'm going to look to come in with the Dragonite right here, as Dragonite can Dragon Breath down the Deoxys before they get to 2 charge moves. I will have to shield this first Psycho Boost, but they won't be able to get to 2. And if it is a second fighter in the back with the Vigoroth out of energy and extremely low in the 1 shield situation, we're looking very, very good. So let's see what Pokemon number 3 is going to be, because it is going to be a fighter. It's going to be Sirfetch'd. So we were correct in reading that there was 3 counter users. I wasn't thinking Sirfetch'd. I was thinking more Obstagoon Poliwrath, to be completely honest. Poliwrath more likely because of how strong it is in the meta this season. But a Sirfetch'd is nice to see. It made our read very successful in keeping our Dragonite alive. Obviously was very beneficial for us as we, boom, take it down and then Dragon Breath down the Vigoroth. And that is going to be a good game, very well played. All right, moving into the next one, Lantern. Very positive lead here. Obviously, we will see them swap out into a Lickitung. So I want to soften up the Lickitung if I can. I'm going to go ahead and go for a Stone Edge, as I'm not going to go for double Mud Bomb, so it's going to be a bit better just to throw the Stone Edge and then swap out into Toxapex here. And then we should be able to survive long enough, or just be able to survive, have a low amount of health so that Lantern can't get a lot of energy, and also have a Sludge Wave ready to go for Lantern, which actually does quite a bit of neutral damage. We should be able to get it to about 50%, as the Toxapex here is bulky enough to be able to take down Lickitung. So we're going to go ahead and basically let it hit us with Body Slams. The lower we get, the better. That means the less energy Lantern gets on the back end. So I'm going to let it hit me for a little bit. As you guys will see, I don't want to get hit with a 3rd Body Slam here, or a 4th one, depending on, you know. But I'm going to let it hit me for a little bit and then farm down. That way I'm low enough so that they don't get too many sparks. I mean, they're still going to get 5 or 6 here. But thankfully, Sludge Wave is a lot of neutral damage. So we're able to dance that mid-game pretty well to maintain switch advantage, get the Lantern to 50% HP. And this is like best case scenario. And we see a Skarmory in the back with Steel Wing. So this is still a tough game. Skarmory rose up from the ashes of the years of dust. It wasn't ashes from fire. It was ashes from cold storage. That no one was using Skarmory the past couple years, but with the Steel Wing update, it became very meta and very strong. Now, it's not number 1 on the rankings anymore. There's been some adjustments to PvPoke's rankings, but it's still like in the top 20, and still very strong. So, in order to win this game, we need to utilize our Quagsire. So I'm actually gonna let Dragonite go down, as we should be able to go for Mud Bombs here against the Skarmory. Make sure we overload on energy. I think the hardest hitting move left in the game, well, it's going to be Brave Bird, obviously. And I don't have the best count on Steel Wing right now, and they threw a Sky Attack, but they do swap in the Lantern here. But I'm ahead in terms of energy against them. I think they have 7 Sparks, so they need 3 more in order to get to another Surf, which means I'm going to get to Mud Bomb number 2 first, and they know that, so they let it go. And going to try to trust in Skarmory, but I don't think they're going to get to another Sky Attack either way. So Quagsire, thankfully, is going to win this one for us. The Mud Shot, Mud Bomb combination is just beautiful, and my opponent knows it. They know the energy count right now, so good game. All right, moving into the next one, we have Quagsire versus Shadow Dragonair on the lead. Now, this matchup obviously is a losing one if we stay in too long and go deep into shields, just because of how punishing Dragon Breath can be. So what we're going to look to do is get ourselves an advantage in a different way, and that's going to be shield advantage. So I'm going to look to go for double Mud Bombs here. 2 Mud Bombs is enough to KO. So we should be able to get a shield from our opponent. So we do get 1 shield. We're going to go ahead and go for another Mud Bomb. And then we're going to swap into Toxapex. This does a few things. Firstly, gets ourselves shield advantage, chip damage, keep Quagsire alive for potential sack swap, and also kind of forces them to want to stay in to land a body slam here to soften up the Toxapex, which makes it even better for us in the late game as we do farm down. Now let's see what they decide to come in with. It is going to be, let's see, it's going to be a Carbink. Okay, so with Shadow Dragonair and Carbink, there is this has been a team for ever since Carbink came out. Obviously, we don't know for sure what number 3 is, but we can make an educated guess, and I'm sure a lot of you who have seen this before can kind of guess it's going to be a Medicham in most situations here. Could be Poliwrath, but odds are it's going to be Medicham. So I'm going to trust in my Dragonite to kind of close this game out for us, as we will let the Rock Slide go through. Quagsire is going to go ahead and come in, and sure enough, there is the Medicham, so I was ready with the instant swap. And I'm going to look to go for Dragon Claws here. We have to give up a shield. We don't want to get KO'd by the Ice Punch, as they do have access to that. And then we're going to overload on energy and make sure we throw the Dragon Claw before they get to another Ice Punch. This way we have energy for Superpower on the back end versus Carbink, and that we can fast move down before another Ice Punch comes through. It's a beautiful time right there. And then we're going to throw the Superpower right away. The reason being is I want them to get less energy. I lose that because it lowers my defenses. They can't get as many fast attacks through. I lose if they get double Rock Slides right here because I'm energy drained. So it's going to be a race. I need one more Mud Shot, which means if they have back-to-back here, it's game over. But if they don't, we win this. And it looks like we win. So that is going to be a good game, very well played to my opponent. Thankfully, the win came here from getting the hard pressure on the lead and give myself shield advantage. So good game. All right, moving into final battle. Credilli here on the lead. Credilli lead this season right now with how popular the top performing team from PvPoke is screaming to me. It's going to be Poliwrath and Skeledirge. I don't always call what team it's going to be based on the lead because I need to see 2 in order to make an educated guess. But Credilli's so rare that it's only been played on really one team so far this week. At least from what I've seen. You guys might have seen different, but this is what I've seen. So I do catch the Grass Knot, and they decide to stay in. There's the puzzle piece number 2, Poliwrath. So now I'm gonna really hard read that it is Skeledirge in the back, which Dragonite can do very well against when you have even shield, basically 2 shields, right? Because of Dragon Breath, and we resist those Incinerate. So we're gonna go ahead and let the Poliwrath take us down. Not too concerned here. We softened it up enough. And they do get an extra fast move through, unfortunately. And then Quagsire here should be able to go for a Mud Bomb now against the Poliwrath, as we have a little bit of energy, which we do get to in time. Perfect. So they don't get another charge move off, which is very ideal for us. If they want to, by all means, go for it. I'm trusting in Dragonite to win this game. Now I'm going to guess we see the Credilli come back in, so I'm just going to fast swap right away into the Dragonite. And pray that it is the Skeledirge in the back, which it is. This is perfect. Now, Skeledirge can do well against a Dragonite, but not in the 2 shields. It has to align to the Dragonite when it has 1-0 or 2-1. Otherwise, it's going to be a case of what you're going to see right here, where I just double shield and farm down. Because they will be able to get to 2 disarming voices in time based on the Dragon Breath damage, right? Which is why I said the 1-0 or 2-1. If I only had 1 shield here, they win this. But thankfully, I'm able to farm down, and now the Credilli's in a very tough situation where I should be able to get to 2 Dragon Claws in time. I do have access to Superpower, but it's a safer bet to go for the Dragon Claw because it should be enough neutral damage in order to win this game. And even if it's not, even if they get to the Rock Slide, well, guess what? They don't have enough energy for Grass Knot either. So that is going to be a good game, very well played to my opponent. Unfortunately for them, this team got so popular this week that it's easy to potentially read, especially when I saw the Poliwrath. So good battle right there. This team overall did pretty well for me, all positive sets. Really strong. I think Dragons are shining this week especially. This could change as this season goes on. Maybe we see a resurgence of Alolan Sandslash. Maybe we see Dewgong come back. Maybe we see more Azumarill, just to counteract how many Dragons are just really out there with Shadow Dragonairs and Shadow Dragonites. Maybe some Guzzlord Spice. But let me know what you guys think. How have dragons been doing for you this week? For me, 2 days in a row, all positive sets. Really enjoying it. Climbed quite a bit of elo, getting close to veteran now, and had a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.